Good morning. Talk 97.3 FM, 104.1FM, and 990 AM, WEEB. Welcome back to the most listened to program in all of the Sandhills. It's time once again for Mornings with the Leader Man. I am Steve Peter Adams, so don't forget, of course, this program is being seen around the world as we just fired up our live video cam, and it's available to you at talk973.com. Top of the homepage has the link. If you're on a mobile device, YouTube will get you where you need to be. Put Mornings with the Leader Man. Leader Man, all one word, spelled just like it sounds. Put that into the search parameters, and it should get you your results to the top. That's the one that says live now, and tap on that. Show your mobile device just needing our crystal clear digital audio. That's available with many streaming platforms like TuneIn, iTunes, Alexa. Let's do it for you. Streamer will do it. Just put WEEB into the search. And if you're on our webpage at talk973.com, the link is in the upper right-hand corner of every webpage where the icon says Listen Live. One tap of that, and you're listening that quick. Weather for us today here in the Sandhills area. Well, the rain you knew would return. Most of it's going to come late this afternoon and tonight. Mostly cloudy today. I have 66 with rain developing this afternoon and tonight. Low 44. Tomorrow we'll start off with rain and give way to drizzle. Look for rain in the morning, drizzle in the afternoon, high of 50. Tomorrow night, drizzle 42, more drizzle Saturday, and 59. Let's see, Sunday, mostly cloudy, showers, scattered showers, and 60 degrees. Monday, partly cloudy, small chance of an isolated shower, and 49. Tuesday, partly cloudy, slight chance of rain and snow, no accumulation. Only a 20% of that happening, and a high of 44. Right now around Sandhills, winds are west of 3, visibility down to 2 statute miles, so headlights on. Pressure is 30 even, dew point 45, humidity maxed at 100%. It's still foggy and still 45 degrees here at Talk 97.3 FM, 104.1 FM, and 990 AM, WEEB. All righty, coming up next hour, we'll have Congressman Richard Hudson will be with us from Washington to talk about a variety of things, including the carry conceal permit, which he's leading the charge on to get reciprocity across the country, where you don't have to worry about, oh, can I carry it here? Do we have reciprocal privileges here? Some states you do. Some states will just plain haul you off to jail, so you need to know. All right, sound bites this morning. Famous horse track, Santa Ana Park in Southern California, has had 19 horses die since December. They reopened today and returning to live betting action. So let's go there live and see just what it's like.
The Santa Anita Racetrack, everyone, as the first race is just about to begin. Track conditions today?
Slow, very slow, not good.
Not good at all. Let's look at the lineup. In lane 1, we have Feelin' Woozy.
In lane 2, it's Glue Factory.
Next, in lane 3, we have Bad Investment.
And since we had 4 other horses drop dead out of the race, our final horse is Dead Ringer.
I thought he looked familiar. And they're off. So far, none have made it out of the gate.
Blank stares from mares.
Feelin' Woozy is leaning side to side. Glue Factory stuck at his tracks.
Going nowhere.
Bad Investment is moving slightly forward.
Falling forward.
And it looks like they're going to give it to Bad Investment.
The winner by a nose.
Winner, winner, horse meat dinner. Stay tuned for the next race featuring horses Mr. Dead,
Ground Chuck,
Godfather's Horse's Head,
and Trigger's Ghost.
Let the wagering begin.
All righty. Well, let's take a moment to make social media a safe space and a positive place, shall we?
And now, a message to people who troll and say negative things on social media. Somebody's daughter graduates from college. There's a cute puppy playing the piano. Or an inspirational quote with the picture of Buddha at sunset. And there you are. Instead of saying, congratulations, that's amazing, or peace, you have to go ugly. You have to go dark. Seriously? Haven't you heard the phrase, if you can't say anything nice about someone, say nothing at all? It's time to change. It's time to be positive. Be uplifting. Try being harmonious with the world. You no good loser, low-life piece of Have a nice day.
Okay. Well, it's Throwback Thursday, isn't it? Shall we participate today?
Today's show is brought to you by Throwback Thursday. Hey, dare you to wear those parachute pants you still have somewhere to work.
2 people got arrested after a fight over crab legs at a buffet in Huntsville, Alabama last Friday. People were waiting for more crab legs to come out, and someone cut in line. A cop happened to be there having dinner and says people were using tongs from the buffet like swords.
Just as I sat down and literally maybe took 2 bites out of my plate. If you can imagine a fencing match, there's a woman who's beating a man, plates are shattering everywhere. Everyone was saying that they cut me in line. She cut me in line, he cut me in line. I was here first. They had been waiting there for the crab legs for a good 10 plus minutes, maybe 15. So when they finally came out, it's very heated, especially if someone's taking more than their fair share.
Okay. So it is when you go to the cheap all-you-can-eat. You got a lot of people with a big appetite. A woman in Tennessee delivered some Mexican food last month and brought a male friend along for the ride. The woman they were delivering to had only tipped 89 cents when paying online. So before they dropped off the food, the guy dipped his privates in the salsa. And of course, they filmed it. Yeah, it's going to be a hot video. Well, the hot video saw the guy get put in jail after it was posted, and the driver was fired.
This is what you get when you give 89 cents tip for an almost 30-minute drive.
Yeah. Makes you wonder about eating out, doesn't it? Or calling for that delivery. You're a bad tipper, so let me get a little revenge here. No telling what they do to your food. Remember Jesse Jackson? Yeah, he used to be work a kitchen. And if it was going to a white patron, he spit in it and he called it Jaime dressing. Yeah, that was Jesse's way of evening the score. And then he wanted to run for president. How'd that work out? Let's see here. The pizza pocket hoodie just went up on Kickstarter. It's a hooded sweatshirt with a triangular pocket on the front and a removable insulated triangular pouch for storing a warm slice of pizza. They have $55 and they ship in June if Kickstarter hits $5,000.
Is your quality of life bad? Is bringing your food with you on the go becoming an inconvenience to your life? Are you tired of constantly forgetting where you put your pizza? Introducing the Pizza Pocket! Just like a regular hoodie, but with a pocket for your pizza. Now, with their new patent-pending pizza holding technology, you can keep your pizza at an ideal temperature wherever you go. You can use it for as many slices as your stomach can hold. The hoodie features a high-quality pizza screen print with a 9-inch wide zipper to keep your pizza secure.
There's a big pizza!
Look at this hand pocket. It's not like the others, it's better. Buy one for your grandma, your dog, your mom's cool new boyfriend Tom. But wait, if you order now and help kickstart this project, you can get 2 pizza pockets for the price of 2.
Mamma mia!
Think about all the pizza you can carry and share with the world. Order now, we'll probably not be able to make this hoodie. Everyone thinks I'm insane. All I want to do is put some pizza in a sweatshirt.
Yeah. I wouldn't put too much, everybody, you never know what's going to catch on in this world. You really don't. Remember the pet rock? Nobody thought that'd catch on. And a ton of people paid $2 for a polished rock in a box. And then they had the Berlin Wall. Somebody went over there and collected little scrap pieces, a lot of scrap pieces, just little flakes of the concrete as they tore down. Or just got a big chunk and then busted up in pieces. And put it in a box, little pieces in a box, and he bought a piece of the Berlin Wall. Or did you? Concrete kind of looks like, it's pretty, it's kind of like corn. It looks pretty much the same anywhere. All right, good news story this morning. 2 of them for you. Make you feel good. A guy posted a video online where he tries to do a rap battle with his baby son, and I mean baby, and can't hold it together because the baby laughs the whole time. Little father-son bonding moment here.
You messing with me? Yo, get your mans, bro. Get your mans. Get your mans, yo. Wow, get your mans. Yo. What's your life like, Quinn? Nah. What's your life like, Quentin? What's your life like, Quentin? Every day you get pocket checks. You eat like a king. 2-parent household. And you get lots of rest. Yo, you're not a threat. Yo, get your manners, bro. Get your manners, bro. This is strictly talent. You thought you would take me on? I'll keep you. I can't do it.
Okay, I think we get the drift here. Well, it's nice to see somebody having a good time with their son. I don't know. I'd call it torture myself. Rap. Long life for that kid ahead. There's an 8-year-old. Here's another good story for you. There's an 8-year-old from Florida who was born with one arm. And he hit a inside the park home run in the baseball game last week. He's also a golf prodigy. He's the only kid with a missing limb ever to qualify for the U.S. Kids World Championship. Is that the one held here? Pinecrest? And he's done it 3 times. Wonder if we'll be seeing him on the PGA Tour. Here's part of an interview he and his dad did together.
Tommy started swinging a golf club at 14 months old.
I was watching golf on the couch, and then I tried to swing, and then I actually swung really good, and then my mom and dad was like, maybe golf is a sport.
We got him a set of plastic clubs, and he just started ripping it. We went through plastic set after plastic set.
First time I ever hit them, I broke them. Like, for the driver, I cracked a hole in it.
He worked his way into a fairway wood, and he just hasn't stopped since. With one arm, he is hitting the ball as far, if not further, than most of the kids his age.
Okay, well, the summit with North Korea ended abruptly last night with no deal. Kim Jong-un demanded that all sanctions be lifted. And Trump said, no way. Then, you got to give before you get. At a press conference afterwards, the president had this to say.
But we literally just left. We spent pretty much all day with Kim Jong-un, who is, he's quite a guy and quite a character, and I think our relationship is very strong. But at this time, we had some options, and at this time we decided not to do any of the options, and we'll see where that goes. But it was a very interesting 2 days, and I think actually it was a very productive 2 days, but sometimes you have to walk.
Well, the court said that when they convicted Michael Cohen in their written conclusions. They said that Michael Cohen was the con man. Michael Cohen was self-centered. Michael Cohen did things to benefit Michael Cohen only, and never took responsibility and always blamed others for everything he did. You know, it's never your fault. It's always someone else's fault, even though you did it, even though you lied to Congress. And you lied on other things that they asked you in the investigation, thinking you could outsmart the smart. Anyway, he had opening statements and closing statements, and I think the Republic, nothing new was revealed. It's just that Cohen's turned on the president now and hates him, blames him for his situation where he's at, although nobody ever made him do it. And he did say that he never witnessed any collusion with the Russians or knew of anything that would be considered that. He, of course, called him a racist and a con man and a cheat, and it goes on and on. Well, he got his last say after his conviction. This is all orchestrated by Lanny Davis, his attorney, and made sure it fell on the day of the Korean negotiations to water that down. And it looked like that backfired, too, because the Korean deal didn't go anywhere. Kim Jong-un, tried his grandfather and father's approach of demanding everything and giving nothing. And he's finding out that the world doesn't work at his command like North Korea does in his dictatorship there. But Cohen got his last say, and, of course, it ticked off the mob, that's for sure.
Come on, Eddie, I'm proud of you. You took your first piece like a man, and you learned the two greatest things in life. Never rat on your friends, and always keep your mouth shut.
Rat anyways. Whole family's all rats. Would have grew up to be a rat.
Yeah, you know what happens when you rat against the family, don't you?
Fredo, you're my older brother, and I love you. But don't ever take sides with anyone against the family again.
There you go.
Ever.
They might take you out in a rowboat and blow your brains out. Let's see. Howie Mandel is on a new episode of Hollywood Medium with Tyler Henry and talked about the worst day of his life. It was the day he buried his father because one of the mourners, we'll let Howie tell the story.
The worst day of my life to date, beyond the passing of my father, was the burial of my father. And in the Jewish religion, you go back to the house and you have a service and you sit Shiva. And you know who I am, I'm a germaphobe. A friend of my father, and he was like tearing, and I was tearing, and he goes, this is such a terrible thing, but I just wanted to say, and right in the middle of a sentence, he rushes. He goes, I gotta go, and he runs out, and as he runs out, I think that he drops a candy or something, and I said, oh, you dropped it, and he just kept running. And so I picked up the candy to try to get him, but he had gone, but it wasn't a candy. And he had a stomach disorder, and I picked up, I thought it was a candy, and I went, oh my God, and I screamed. It was poop. And my mom screamed, and we're screaming, and she takes me into the bathroom, and she scalds my hand. You know, I won't shake hands, and now I have poop of a mourner on my hand, and she's pouring like alcohol, and I'm screaming, I'm going, help me, help me. And the people in the living room are just going, oh, this family is just in such pain for this loss. They have no idea that we're both just screaming because there's poop on my hand. But the worst day of my life, it was laugh after ridiculous laugh, and these are not stories that I have shared publicly. Right. Now I have. Right. Oh my gosh. We always used to say happens, and it did.
All right, maybe that's why he turned into a germaphobe. His mom's kind of, if that's true about what his mom did there, probably had some roots to it. All right, well, let's see what we need to know today so we don't sound stupid. In 2015, Michael Jackson's Neverland Ranch went up for sale for $100 million, and there were no takers. In 2017, the price was cut to $67 million, and there were no takers. Now, it was on the market for a mere $31 million. Rotten Tomatoes is turning off the comment section of a movie until after it hits theaters. People are trolling and writing negative reviews before a movie even comes out. The Pentagon has spent nearly $8 million to treat more than 1,500 transgender troops since 2016, including 161 surgical procedures. Yes, join the Army if you're getting ready to do a transgender operation, and we'll do the operation for you for free because the taxpayers are just dumb enough to do it. The man who generously paid Girl Scouts $500 for the rest of their cookies so that they could get out of the cold enjoyed a moment of fame until authorities recognized him as a guy wanted on serious drug charges. He says been arrested. I guess the cookies were bought with drug money. Bernie Sanders' top strategists have already left his campaign over creative differences. Long Beach, of course, if it was Trump, he'd be all over the headlines for a week. You didn't even hear about it unless I told you. Long Beach, California is in talks with the Angels for a new waterfront ballpark. We sure spend a lot of money, have taxpayers' money on sports, don't we? A lot. Jennifer Lawrence is using the occasion of Paris Fashion Week to show off her new engagement ring, like we care. And by the way, our Ariana Grande is the most followed woman on Instagram, like we care. Janet Jackson is going to launch a Las Vegas... See, I can't function today. I haven't got my update from Ariana Grande. Oh, this is so intimidating. Stressful. Janet Jackson is going to launch a new Las Vegas residency at MGM's Park Theater, where Lady Gaga is currently in residence. Titled Metamorphosis, the show will begin May 17th and run until August. So if you're in Vegas, might want to look up the show. Last week, Nike's stock share took a big hit after Zion Williamson blew out his shoe. This week, Indiana's Justin Smith saw his shoe come apart in Tuesday's game against Wisconsin. However, this one was Adidas. Well, it's the same factory, dude, just put a different name on it. It's in China. Look under 9-year-old workstations. Today's impossible question when it comes to breakfast eating habits. 10% of us do this unusual thing. What is it? We put milk in a bowl before the cereal. Phone calls are 60% shorter than they were 10 years ago. Hangers are the number one thing in our homes. People say we have too many of them. You never have too many. May have too many clothes, but not hangers. Almost, my trouble is my hangers walk off all by themselves. You know how it is. You do your laundry, you come back to your closet, and you're always a hanger short from being able to hang it all up. 4 million bras are made every day. The average American will spend a total of 6 full days, about 23 minutes a day, washing dishes. I can believe that. Men are about 4 times more likely than women to lose their hearing. 1 out of 10 men have never worn a tuxedo. And crayons are the number one things kids stick in their nose. French fries is number 2. Is that with or without salt, sir? All right. Well, we got Congressman Richard Hudson coming up next hour, so we're going to do some Hour 2 stuff this hour. I go getting bad guys. Because it needs to be getting got.
What got here is failure to mutate.
Bad boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you? Bad boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you?
All right, my friends, it's time once again to strut across the floor like we own it in the style of the Duke, John Wayne. Open up our closet doors, look at all our Liberty safes, all 30 of them, and today we're going to go to Liberty safe number 3. Today we'll reach in and grab our Smith & Wesson 45 caliber. Throw that into the holster, pin on our badge. And grab 5 cans of whoop ass as we get ready to head out the door in relentless pursuit of stupid criminal news. All right, stupid criminal news number 1 this morning. Here's the new rule. Well, I'm not going to do that one. Nasty. All right, stupid criminal news number 1. I'm not sure. You ever live it down if you wind up going to jail because an inanimate object gave you a giant wedgie. The police in Airedale, Arizona, Australia, were chasing a 23-year-old burglary subject on Tuesday around 3 in the morning, and he ran from them. That ticks you off at 3 in the morning, and then tried to climb a 6-foot fence. But he got stuck when his underwear snagged on it. So when the police caught up with him, they say they found him, quote, dangling upside down from the fence by his underwear. Oh, the wedgie hurts. Please help me. He was arrested for trespassing, violating his bell, and carrying his knife, which they used to cut him down with. Stupid criminal news number 2 this morning. If you got busted for speeding and got a $400 ticket, would you slow down that day? The 22-year-old nutcase was pulled over on a highway in Livermore, California on Monday afternoon. Then when they were going over 90 miles an hour and got a speeding ticket. And then, just 11 short minutes later, they got pulled over again, this time for going 103 miles an hour. Total cost of the 2 tickets should come between $800 and $1,000. A representative from the California Highway Patrol said, quote, it was an expensive 11 minutes. You think? And last but not least, a 52-year-old woman in Hackensack, New Jersey, really messed up her SUV earlier this week. But on the bright side, she didn't have to go far to fix it. She apparently lost control of her SUV at around 9 in the evening on Tuesday night and crashed straight through the front of an AutoZone. Fortunately, no one was hurt in the crash, but she did quite a bit of damage inside the store. No charges have been filed yet, but the police are investigating. Which parts will you be needing tonight, ma'am? And that's your stupid criminal news for this Thursday. All righty. Moving right along, making good time this morning. Let's go into another thing we do in the second hour. Something that everybody cannot live without.
And now it's time for...
Random facts.
1, 2, 3, 4.
All right, the random facts for today, maybe a spare if you're good. In the 1930s, before the breathalyzer was invented, police used something called the dunk-o-meter. It was a huge device that required a person to blow into a balloon. Judge Judy was a real judge in New York Criminal and Family Court from 1982 to 1996, and she had the same personality and style she does on TV. She got a show after 60 Minutes did a feature on her in 1993. It's illegal to get married in Nebraska if you have an STD. Dwight Eisenhower is the only president who served in both World War I and World War II. And the song It's a Small World was never copyrighted by Disney, so they don't get any royalties when it's used. UNICEF asked them to keep it free as a gift to children around the world, and they agreed. It's the only thing they haven't capitalized in on. It's 8 o'clock.
Later today, we expect more in the way of uniform temperatures. Yesterday, we had 40s, 50s, and 60s. It should all be in the 60s later on today. It'll become cloudy with rain arriving, the high in the low to mid 60s. Rain gear will be necessary tonight. Rain is likely. It's cool, the low temperature in the low to mid 40s. And it looks like tomorrow we're socked in with the clouds with spotty light rain, drizzle, and mist. It's a cooler day. High temperatures in the mid 40s to low 50s, milder Saturday. I'm Mike Mays in the North Carolina News Network Weather Center.
Broadcasting from the top of the North Carolina Sandhills, 97.3 FM, 104.1FM, and 990 AM, WEEB, Southern Pines, Pinehurst, Aberdeen.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason.
We are certainly closer today than we were 36 hours ago, and we were closer then than we were a month or two before that.
Secretary of State Pompeo saying progress was made in the just concluded U.S.-North Korea summit, even though no agreement was reached and President Trump cut the meeting short.
The talks in Hanoi ended earlier than planned because President Trump wasn't willing to lift all U.S. sanctions in exchange for North Korea's offer.
Actually, it was a very productive 2 days, but sometimes you have to walk. And this was just one of those times.
At a post-summit news conference, the president said it was a friendly departure between him and Kim Jong-un, and that Kim promised not to resume nuclear and missile testing.
White House correspondent Greg Clugston. The president criticizing House Democrats for the timing of yesterday's public testimony by former Trump lawyer Michael Cohen.
Having a fake hearing like that and having it in the middle of this very important summit is really a terrible thing. They could have made it 2 days later or next week.
Mr. Trump says he watched as much of the testimony as he could, but he says he couldn't see much of it because, in the president's words, I've been a little bit busy. We expect to find out today whether Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu will be indicted on corruption charges. An announcement expected from Israel's Attorney General. An indictment would mark the first time in Israeli history that a sitting prime minister has been charged with a crime. Netanyahu denies any wrongdoing. Floodwaters that turned two Northern California communities into islands are starting to recede today. The rain-swollen Russian River has flooded thousands of homes, businesses, and other buildings in the California wine country north of San Francisco. On Wall Street, Dow futures down 20 points. S&P futures off 5. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Ask yourself, if you built a van for your business, where would you start? At the beginning, of course, with the people who invented the work van over 100 years ago, Mercedes-Benz. You'd give your new Mercedes-Benz Sprinter advanced technology and safety to keep you connected and protected. You'd make it available in diesel and gas, and there would be thousands of configurations and upfits to choose from. You build it right here in the USA, because your one-of-a-kind business deserves nothing less than a van that's built for you. Introducing the all-new Mercedes-Benz Sprinter, the safest, most innovative Sprinter yet, starting at just $33,790. Built for you, the all-new Sprinter, built in the USA. Mercedes-Benz, vans, born to run.
MSRP excludes all options, taxes, title, registration, transportation charge, and dealer prep fee. Options, model availability, and actual dealer price may vary. See dealer for details about costs and terms. Equipment described as optional. 2019 Mercedes-Benz Sprinter available soon.
British lawmakers make their feelings known about Hezbollah. We got the latest from the Media Line's Charles Biblazer.
Britain's parliament voted to fully designate Lebanon-based Hezbollah a terrorist group, breaking with many other European countries that differentiate between the Iranian proxy's so-called political and military wings. The opposition Labour Party allowed its lawmakers to vote with their conscience, claiming there is not sufficient evidence that the organization meets prescription criteria. Labour head Jeremy Corbyn previously referred to members of Hezbollah and Hamas as his friends. Hezbollah has come under increasing scrutiny after making major gains in Lebanon's elections last May. The group and its allies now control the finance and health ministries, which has raised Western concern that state funds could be diverted towards terror purposes. I'm Charles Biblazer, Town Hall News, Jerusalem.
News and analysis at themedialine.org and at townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. Democrats have come out swinging as debate gets underway in the Senate for the man that President Trump wants to head up the EPA.
Senator John Tester of Montana wants to know how the Senate
can support somebody who is this big of a denier, who wants to slow enforcement on polluters.
But Senator John Barrasso of Wyoming says under the Trump administration, it's time for a change at EPA.
During the last administration, the EPA issued punishing regulations that would hurt the economy and raise costs on families.
Wheeler has angered many Democrats by calling fears about climate change a hoax. Bob Agnew, Capitol Hill.
A 19-year-old New Jersey man accused of assaulting an 81-year-old man who was wearing a Make America Great Again hat. Police in Somerset County say it all began when the two exchanged words about the hat outside of a supermarket and escalated from there. The alleged assailant charged with assault and harassment. More on these stories at townhall.com.
7 days a week, we're on the job. John Cole's Plumbing Professionals. Fast, friendly, quality service. You know we can do it all. We can do it all. Don't just call a plumber. Call a professional. John Cole's Plumbing Professionals.
At John Cole Plumbing, plumbing is what they do. That's why they are plumbing professionals. Plumbing all day, every day, with quality, honest service for you. Don't just call a plumber, call a professional. 910-639-4933. 639-4933.
Don't just call a plumber. Call a professional. John Cole's Plumbing Professionals.
Neck, shoulder, or back pain can be downright debilitating. If you have those issues, you already know that, and you don't need me to tell you about the opioid crisis. There's another, better way. I'm talking about chiropractic, a healing art that's also science. Dr. Sharon Wright of Wright Chiropractic in Seven Lakes invites you to come in for a discussion about how chiropractic works and could work for you. To be sure, there are many of you out there that have reached the proverbial dead end trying to treat and manage your pain.
This is Dr. Wright. I can't guarantee I can fix every problem, but I will tell you honestly whether chiropractic can be of help for your particular issue. Living with pain is not always the only option. Doesn't it make sense to explore every avenue before resigning yourself to the limitations of pain? Call our office today to schedule a consultation and start living again. 673-2225.
Next to your home, your vehicle is one of the largest investments you'll make. Hey, it's Anthony from Champion Car Wash and Detail Shop. People tell us all the time, I have a vehicle at home that I only wash by hand and I don't need to have it detailed all the time. Well, did you know that Champion hand washes vehicles too? Give us a call at 692-5060 to find a time to get your vehicle properly hand washed using the 3-bucket method to ensure your vehicle's cleaned as gently as possible. That's Champion Car Wash and Detail Shop near the corner of Morganton and Broad in Southern Pines.
Are you tired of trying to get a handle on your water chemistry? Is your pool green every time you turn around? Is your spa water cloudy or foamy? Well, Southern Tropics Pools and Spas can help. We offer free water testing and have the experience and knowledge to keep your water sparkling clear all year long. We sell the highest quality chemicals, formulated without fillers or binders. No gimmicks, no Band-Aids, just results. We're across US 1 from the new Ford dealership, right between Gulf Augusta and the Smoke Inn. Southern Tropics Pools and Spas.
NCN News. I'm Mike Rayleigh. President Trump is on his way back to Washington without an agreement with Kim Jong-un to denuclearize North Korea. Kim Jong-un wanted all sanctions lifted as part of the deal, something Mr. Trump would not agree to. More from CBS's Margaret Brennan in Hanoi.
Sometimes you have to walk.
It was a high-stakes meeting with a disappointing outcome. After extensive face-to-face talks in a 5-star Hanoi hotel, President Trump said Kim Jong-un's offer was simply not good enough to give up America's leverage.
An operative in North Carolina's unresolved congressional race has been charged with obstruction and illegal ballot possession related to the 2016 and 2018 elections. Wake County District Attorney Lauren Freeman said Wednesday that Leslie McCray Cray Dallas Jr. was arrested after the grand jury indictments, but
there is still a lot of work to be done. We felt like this was an important first step in bringing this case to the court system and in making a statement that this case is serious.
President Trump's former lawyer Michael Cohen called Mr. Trump a racist, con man, and a cheat in his testimony. He says he hopes his testimony helps to heal America. Jonathan Turley is a law professor at George Washington University. He says Cohen hurt the president when he says he fudged financial numbers.
Perhaps the most worrisome aspect of the testimony was the suggestion that the Southern District of New York is pursuing all types of potential criminal transactional offenses.
Charlotte school leaders have voted to convert 4 year-round schools to a more traditional schedule. WBTV reports the school board voted to change that, a major impact to over 1,700 students. The North Carolina Court of Appeal should remain at 15 judges, with legislation now heading to Governor Roy Cooper's desk that repeals a 2017 law Republicans pushed through. You're listening to NCN News.
There's a new risky scheme circulating in Raleigh that's going to hurt our teachers, state employees, and retirees.
The state treasurer is floating this risky scheme that will cut more than $400 million in payments to your local doctors and hospitals. Those cuts will cripple local hospitals, meaning state employees, teachers, and retirees on the state health plan will have limited access to hospitals and doctors in your community. This risky scheme will cut services. It will take away your choice about who you want to care for you and your family.
If the state treasurer really wants to cut costs to the state health plan, he needs to work with doctors and hospitals to prevent illness, manage chronic diseases, and help folks lose weight and stay healthy.
Healthy employees and retirees will save the state health plan money. Isn't that what the treasurer says he wants?
Let's stop pointing fingers and start working to build a smarter state health plan by protecting patients and supporting the folks who take care of them.
That's the North Carolina way of doing things.
Paid for by Partners for Innovation in Healthcare.
As the state legislature considers changes in liquor sales in North Carolina, several groups came together to say things should stay the way they are. Among those speaking to reporters at the legislative building in Raleigh was Wrightsville Beach Police Chief Dan House, who says there are public safety concerns about wider sales of alcohol.
Allowing grocery stores, pharmacies, convenience stores would necessarily increase the consumption of liquor, and with the crime that goes along with it.
U.S. peace talks with the Taliban will restart this week. CBS News correspondent Cammie McCormick has more.
There's a brief pause in the talks following what the U.S. envoy called solid negotiations. He called the meetings productive. There may be some progress on a U.S. demand that the Taliban negotiate with the government in Kabul, with the formation of a national team of Afghans. The next 2 days are for internal deliberations, and then the U.S. and Taliban representatives will return to the table.
A new bill in North Carolina would require people in the state to register their bicycles with the Division of Motor Vehicles. The bill's sponsor is Alexander County Representative Jeffrey Elmore. Terry Lansdale, the head of Bike Walk NC, a bicycle safety advocacy group, tells WSOC News.
DMV is struggling to keep up with automobile registrations.
A Florida congressman who attacked Michael Cohen on Twitter is now under investigation by the state bar. CBS News correspondent Peter King has more from Orlando.
That tweet by Republican Matt Gaetz mentioned Cohen's wife and father-in-law and asked if they, quote, know about your girlfriends. Cohen's attorney saw that as a threat, and a Florida bar spokeswoman says all complaints against Florida attorneys are investigated. Gaetz was in the hearing room yesterday. He says he's apologized to Cohen. He says he didn't intend for his tweet to be taken as a threat, just to, quote, create context. Peter King, CBS News, Orlando.
Mike Rayleigh, NCN News.
Well, we do have the potential for some patchy dense fog this morning, otherwise becoming cloudy later today with rain arriving. It's milder. The high temperature in the low to mid-60s, so no 40s. It'll be more in the way of 60s later on today. Tonight, it's cloudy with rain likely. The low temperature in the low to mid-40s, and keep that rain gear handy for the day tomorrow. Cloudy skies for our Friday. Light rain and drizzle is possible, as well as some mist. It's much cooler with mid-40s to low 50s, the highs. I'm Mike Mays in the North Carolina News Network Weather Center.
Right now here in the Sand Hills area, it's foggy, 48 degrees, humidity max at 100%, 2.48. Pressure is 30.03, winds are calm. 8:13, let's take a look at your Sand Hills news for this Thursday morning. In the news, Howard Maurice Harris of Carthage is a registered sex offender and was arrested by the Pinehurst Police Department. Officers responded to a call at Harris's had been entering a business, repeatedly whistling and heckling female employees. After further investigation, the police department learned that Harris is a registered sex offender. Harris was arrested on site due to the fact that he was 216 feet from a daycare facility, a violation which states that registered sex offenders may not be within 300 feet of any location intended primarily for the use, care, or supervision of minors. Harris is being held under a $15,000 bond. And Tamat Wycon Purvis of Bennettsville, South Carolina. He, too, was arrested by law enforcement officials, but this time in Pembroke, North Carolina, and taken to Cumberland County's detention center on charges stemming from numerous incidents involving stolen motor vehicles and motor vehicle break-ins throughout Moore, Cumberland, Scotland, Richmond, Mecklenburg counties in South Carolina. Purvis was served warrants from the Pinehurst Police Department regarding incidents that occurred on Monticello Drive in Prince Manor condominium area in Pinehurst. This happening back on February 12th. At that time, 9 motor vehicles were damaged and broken into, and the vehicle was stolen from the Monticello Drive area. That vehicle was subsequently recovered in Fayetteville 2 days later. Purvis is being held under a $560,000 bond with additional charges expected to come. And the owner of Sweet Dreams Mattress Store in Southern Pines, Keith Moneymaker, and a longtime advertiser here on WEEB, is simultaneously opening a new showroom located in Sanford and expanding its charity outreach to help the more needy families. Did we mention that he and his wife just adopted a two-year-old boy, twin boys last year? Keith says, my secret is that I have a great people around me to help. I have a great family, great friends, and an amazing staff. If you have people in your life that you can trust and be okay with letting things go a little bit, Moneymaker said, if you want to grow, you have to trust people and let them help you. His everyday hustle inspired 100 More Men, a local civic group that aims to boost the coffers of local charities. On Tuesday, the group selected Dream for All Foundation for a $10,000 donation. That's your latest Sand Hills news this morning, but stand by. Here comes your latest in sports right here on Talk 97.3 FM, 104.1 FM, and 990 AM WEEB. It is 8:16.
NCN Sports, I'm Josh Zach. 8th-ranked Houston beat ECU last night. Beat more like just shredded. 99-65 in Greenville. The game included multiple technical fouls against the Pirates after halftime, including 3 ejections. ECU trailed by 14 at the break. They never recovered. Things got away from them early in the second half during an ugly sequence filled with technicals, all involving ECU. Coach Joe Dooley and sophomore guard Sean Williams were ejected, along with a fan in the stretch that had the home crowd irate with officials and some throwing trash toward the court. After the game, Dooley reacted to being ejected for the first time from a college basketball game in 31 years.
I took responsibility. I thought we were right in the game. I mean, it wasn't that spurt with the technicals really hurt us. I do think that our guys were competing. I thought we were playing at a high level against a very high-level team. I think they were surprised I got tossed. I mean, they said, I hadn't seen that before, Coach. And I said, neither have I. So we've all seen something we hadn't seen. But I talked to them about having character, about finishing the right way. We played a really good team, and they put you in a lot of precarious situations.
ECU's dropped 8 straight against top 10 opponents, as well as in the series against Houston. Up next, the Pirates play at Tulsa. That game on Sunday. One other North Carolina men's D1 program in play last night. Davidson and LaSalle got the past them 79-69. The Wildcats in the loss slipped 2 games behind VCU in the Atlantic 10 with 3 games left for both teams on the regular season. Davidson is home against Fordham on Saturday. Other finals last night involving teams in the top 25. Number 2 Virginia beat Georgia Tech. 7th-ranked Tennessee got past Mississippi State. Villanova upset number 10 Marquette, and 11th-ranked Texas beat Oklahoma State in overtime. The score 84-80. Number 12 Nevada topped UNLV. 14th-ranked Purdue beat Illinois. Penn State upset number 17 Maryland, and number 23 Cincinnati. They topped SMU 52-49. This is NCN Sports.
State lawmakers are cranking up a new legislative session. Everything's on the table. The budget, education, transportation, regulation. What are they doing, and how is it affecting you, your family, your business, your wallet? Carolina Journal helps you find answers. Available each month as a free newspaper. Every day online at carolinajournal.com. Carolina Journal, your #1 source for government news that affects you. Visit carolinajournal.com today.
The Powerade State Games of North Carolina are coming this June to Charlotte. Registration is open for athletes of all ages and skill levels in 24 different sports. The Powerade State Games feature 13,000 athletes and 700 teams. Don't miss out on the largest sports festival of the year. Visit PoweradestateGames.org today. The Powerade State Games are brought to you by BB&T and Harris Teeter. For more information, visit PoweradestateGames.org.
Houston won their third game last night and handing the Charlotte Hornets their third straight loss. The Rockets winning 118-113. Philadelphia Eagles general manager Howie Roseman says the team will not use its franchise tag on Nick Foles and instead let him become a free agent. Roseman says the decision came after Foles expressed his desire to become a starter during a recent meeting. Foles was Carson Wentz's backup during each of the past 2 seasons, but finished both seasons as the starter, winning the Super Bowl MVP award last year and guiding the Eagles to a loss in the wild card round this time around. Major league players and management appear headed toward early labor negotiations. The talks could lead to significant economic changes in the collective bargaining agreement and possibly a new deal past the current expiration of December 2021. Josh Zach, NCN Sports.
You hear that? That's me enjoying my retirement. Taking my grandson around America to see a baseball game in every park. Sitting in the best seats and watching him smile. Now that's what it's all about. How am I able to have this great adventure? Years ago, I rolled over my IRA with the help of Coach Pete, a local, trusted advisor. Safe, secure, trusted. They helped me turn my retirement worries into retirement rewards.
The next 10 callers will receive a copy of our hot off the press 401k Survival Guide 2017 edition, or you can take advantage of a complimentary consultation with Coach Pete and the team, normally a $999 value. 919-415-1716, 919-415-1716.
Nights, weekend, and holidays. You know plumbing problems never seem to take time off. And always, they seem to crop up at the worst possible times. And unfortunately, they can't wait hours on end for a solution. The Plumbing Night to the rescue. The Plumbing Night, of course, doesn't take time off either, because service is the lifeblood of their organization. Make the Plumbing Night your plumbing service partner and protector. Hopefully, it won't be an emergency when you call, but they're prepared to help if it is. And they won't take an arm and a leg just because it happened at an inconvenient time. Now that's a plumbing night in shining armor, if you ask me. Check them out on the web at theplumbingnight.com or call them 639-5555. That's an easy number. Write it down. 639-5555. Again, that's 639-5555, day or night.
7 days a week, we're on the job. Professionals, fast, friendly, quality service. You know we can do it all. We can do it all. Don't just call a plumber. Call a professional. John Cole's Plumbing Professionals.
At John Cole Plumbing, plumbing is what they do. That's why they are plumbing professionals. Plumbing all day, every day, with quality, honest service for you. Don't just call a plumber, call a professional. 910-639-4933. 639-4933.
Don't just call a plumber. Call a professional. John Cole's Plumbing Professionals.
Imagine a time when you have the freedom and resources to do all those things you've dreamed of without worrying about a tax bill. A time and place where all your hard-earned money works for you and not some government bureaucracy. Envision a carefree retirement. You've entered the tax-free zone. It's never been simpler to leave retirement uncertainty behind. Let me introduce you to my good friend, Coach Pete at Capital Financial and Insurance, LLC. Call Coach Pete at 888-623-8858. Again, that's 888-623-8858. And be sure to visit taxfreecoach.com for a very special webinar on reducing taxes in retirement. That's taxfreecoach.com. You'll be glad you visited the tax-free zone.
Hello, I'm John Zumwalt, and you're in the Zumwalt Zone. When I was a kid, we lived across the street from a park. It had swings and a merry-go-round and all kind of stuff. It was a little kid's dream. Best of all, it had trees, and I used to love to climb them. Somehow or another, I got into a little kids club at that park. One of the other kids had started it. I don't remember a whole lot about that little club, except for one girl, and all I remember about her is her name, Nancy. The guy who started the club was a natural leader. At the age of 6, he'd have a gathering and he would tell us what we were going to play that day. Sometimes it was cowboys and Indians, and other times it would be Army or something. Anyway, the little fella in charge would tell us what our role was that day. It made things a lot easier for us. We had a lot of fun. Well, the reason I remember Nancy is this. If she didn't like what we were doing, she would stand up and pout and yell the same thing every time. She'd yell, "You ain't the boss of me," and she'd run home. I was just little, kind of scared me a little bit. If I didn't know better, I'd think she grew up with the last name of Pelosi. Maybe all Nancys are like that. Maybe they all get angry and yell if things don't go their way. Well, do they? If you're a Nancy or married to one, let me know. You don't have to, though, because I ain't the boss of you. I ain't the boss of anyone here in the Zumwalt Zone.
Later today, we expect more in the way of uniform temperatures. Yesterday, we had 40s, 50s, and 60s. It should all be in the 60s later on today. It'll become cloudy with rain arriving, the high in the low to mid 60s. Rain gear will be necessary tonight. Rain is likely. It's cool, the low temperature in the low to mid 40s. And it looks like tomorrow we're socked in with the clouds with spotty light rain, drizzle, and mist. It's a cooler day. High temperatures in the mid 40s to low 50s, milder Saturday. I'm Mike Mays in the North Carolina News Network Weather Center.
And now, the Sandhills' #1 morning show. Mornings with the Leader Man. Here on Talk 97.3 FM, 104.1 FM, and 990 AM WEEB. And heard and seen around the world at talk973.com.
The best part of waking up is waking up with us.
What day is it?
Thursday.
Thursday morning.
Thursday. Thursdays are for me.
Do you know what time it is? Coffee time.
Coffee time. Coffee time.
It's time for my coffee break.
Precious coffee time.
Would you like a cup of coffee?
I don't drink coffee.
I don't drink coffee.
Get out! Get out!
Blasphemer!
Blasphemer!
That's crazy talk. Let's start again.
Coffee? Yes, please. That's more like it.
Great.
It's showtime!
Good morning. Talk 97.3 FM, 104.1 FM, and 990 AM WEEB. Welcome back to the most listened to program in all of the Sandhills. It is time once again for Mornings with the Leader Man. I am Steve Leader Adams. Don't forget, of course, this program being seen around the world on a live video stream at talk973.com. Top middle of the page is the link. YouTube will do it on your mobile device. Put Mornings with the Leader Man in there. And, of course, our crystal clear digital audio stream available to you on many streaming platforms like TuneIn, iTunes, Streamer, Alexa. All will get you to us. Just put WEEB in the search. And if you're on the website, the icon's in the upper right-hand corner of every web page that says Listen Live. Tap it once at talk973.com, and you're listening just that quick. All right, on the line with us this morning is Congressman Richard Hudson, from our congressman from the 8th District here. Good morning, Congressman.
Hey, good morning. Great to be with you again.
One thing I want to ask before John starts in on the topic here was, it seems like, at least looking from down here, that it's a daily race up there amongst the Democrats to see who can be more liberal. Every time you turn around, it's one more crazy thing being brought up, whether it be the wall, the Green Deal, all that crazy stuff. How bad is it up there?
Well, it's like La La Land, Leader Man. I mean, people that live in the real world like you and me just scratch our heads. You mentioned the Green New Deal. They did a study and they determined that it'll cost $93 trillion over 10 years. Now, it's hard to even wrap your head around how much that costs, but if you break it down, that means every household, everybody listening on the radio today, you're going to owe $600,000 more to the federal government. Break it down even further, that means if your household income is $30,000 or more, that the federal government would have to tax 100% of your income for 10 years, meaning everything you make for 10 years would have to go to the government just to pay for this crazy program.
Sounds like my credit card company. All right.
All right. Good morning, Congressman. How are you doing today?
Hey, doing great, John. Great to talk to you.
Good to talk to you. I know you have very limited time because you're speaking at CPAC today, so I wanted to give you a chance to say, just tell us, bring us up to date. I imagine you might want to talk about SR 8, I'm guessing, but please bring us up to date.
Yeah. Well, it's a tough week if you love freedom, John. The Democrats have 2 gun control measures on the House floor this week. Yesterday, they passed H.R. 8. As you know, I'm one of the leaders in Congress on Second Amendment issues, and we've been fighting this thing tooth and nail. But Nancy Pelosi's the speaker, and they've got the votes. But what they're doing is they're perpetrating a fraud on the American people. They've got this bill. They rolled it out with a lot of fanfare. They brought in Gabrielle Giffords, who was a victim of a horrific gun violence years ago when she was a member of Congress, and said, we need universal background checks to protect the American people. But when you look at the bill, all it does is it restricts the rights of law-abiding citizens. It does absolutely nothing to stop gun violence. In fact, it would not have stopped Parkland. It would not have stopped Newtown. It would not have stopped the Las Vegas shooting. It would not have stopped Columbine. It would not have stopped the Pulse nightclub shooting. It would not have even stopped the shooting of Gabrielle Giffords. And so this legislation does nothing to stop gun violence, yet it's going to restrict the rights of citizens. For example, if you and I go dove hunting, John, and I loan you my shotgun, I could go to prison for a year and have a $100,000 fine. Or if your neighbor is a victim of domestic violence and she's scared her boyfriend may come back because she's got a restraining order on him, you can't loan her your shotgun overnight, or again, you'd become a criminal. And it just makes no sense. This is not the cause of gun violence. And I've been working, as you know, for years to try to combat gun violence. We've been dealing with ways to improve our mental health system, ways to help guidance counselors and teachers better intervene with students who are in trouble. We've had a bill signed in the law last Congress that gives resources to schools to harden those schools to make our students safer. We've improved grant programs to law enforcement. We're actually doing things, the Republicans in Congress, to try to stop gun violence. The Democrats have a show vote that all it's going to do is threaten you and I and other law-abiding citizens.
Well, Congressman, I know that, I doubt if there's any other congressperson who tries to reach across the aisle more than you do. But it seems like there's a new left out there, and I would imagine they're becoming harder and harder to work with. Now, I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but I notice your subject on CPAC today is one that I can't wait to hear, disarming the left's hypocrisy, the disadvantage of gun control. And I'm curious to see what do you think about this new left, this new, that seems to be, I believe the leader of the Congress now is Cortez, but I'd like to hear your thoughts on that, please.
Well, it is interesting to watch the new members of Congress who think Nancy Pelosi and Maxine Waters are too conservative to be part of the Democrat Party. Let that sink in. That's what the new left is all about, and it's just, again, for people like you and I who live in the real world, you just scratch your head. But I learned from Jesse Helms, and Jesse Helms could work with Ted Kennedy. He could work with anybody. And so I'm going to continue to build relationships across the aisle. I've had a couple of conversations with Ms. Cortez. There's going to be an issue one of these days where she and I may agree on something, and we might be able to solve a problem for the American people. And so I'm going to continue to build relationships. I'm very comfortable in my positions and my beliefs. I'm happy to have a conversation with anybody. And you never know. One of these days, we may disagree on 100 issues, but there might be one where we agree and we can actually do something for the American people. So I'm not going to stop trying to reach across the aisle. But when it comes to issues like H.R. 8, where they're threatening the rights of citizens, I'm going to stand up and just as strongly as I can for the people that I represent.
Well, we always appreciate that. I would be remiss if I did not ask you about Senator Tillis and his position that he took against the president. Do you have any comment on that?
Well, I haven't had a chance to talk to Senator Tillis about it, so I won't put words in his mouth. But I can tell you the decision I made was I'm going to support the president. And when, we've got to secure this border and protect the American people. Now, the question of the national emergency, we had a vote earlier this week on whether to declare that national emergency was illegitimate or not. And I said, absolutely not. I'm standing with the president. He has the authority to declare a national emergency. And if you look at the history, I mean, there are currently 31 national emergencies that have been declared by past presidents. George W. Bush declared 11. Barack Obama declared something like 10 national emergencies. One of the national emergencies Obama declared was for the swine flu, which took the lives of 12,500 of our citizens. Well, this tragedy at the southern border has taken 70,000 lives just from drug overdoses. And when you look at the humanitarian crisis on our border, when you look at this national security crisis on our border, and you compare it to the other 31 national emergencies that other presidents have declared, it's absolutely justified. And so, that's the decision I've made, and I'm going to continue to support the president.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. Now, all of us stay awake at night worrying about something. But as a congressman, I'm guessing you have an awful lot of things to worry about. As a congressman, what keeps you awake at night?
Well, the national debt is one thing that, if you think about of all the issues we're facing, what has the biggest impact on the quality of life of my 3-year-old son and his future, and if you care about national security, when you realize that 20 years from now we're going to pay as much in interest on national debt as we pay today on all of our defense spending, that'll keep you awake at night. If you care about Social Security being there, if you care about any of the programs of the federal government, how are we going to afford those in the future if we don't get control of this debt? And I just think it's borderline criminal for politicians today to not address the spending issues and to continue to rack up the credit card debt that our children and grandchildren have to pay.
I listened to your speech on the floor concerning H.R. 8. Can you tell us how folks can go and listen to that? Because it was pretty good.
Well, it's on my website at hudson.house.gov. I've also got a YouTube page if you search Congressman Richard Hudson, but probably going to my webpage. You can also find it on Facebook. My Facebook page, and but would love for you to take a look at it. It's every time I step on that House floor, I'm reminded of the history and the debates that have happened on that, and the great statesmen and women who've served in this Congress. And so it's always an honor to step on that floor and to give a speech. And every time I do, I think that I'm representing the 770,000 people that live in our community. And so I hope folks will view that, and I hope they're proud of the position I've taken. I'm not the best orator in the world. I just tell it like it is. And like my granddaddy said, if you always tell the truth, you won't have to remember what you tell people. So take a look at it, and you'll see me telling the truth.
My granddaddy said that too, but he forgot to tell me I was going to get a whooping sometimes. Did you get a chance?
Those whoopings, they turn you into a pretty good person when you become an adult.
Well, they help a lot. Did you get a chance to watch any of the Cohen testimony yesterday?
No, I didn't. We had a lot going on with the floor debate, and then frankly, John, I mean, you got a guy who literally is on the way to prison for lying to Congress, and yet the Democrats, roll him out as some star witness to testify before Congress. I mean, just the hypocrisy of it is stunning. And then you think about the context where you've got the President of the United States. I don't care what party he is. He is overseas negotiating the denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula, one of the greatest geopolitical threats this world faces today. And they timed this hearing to try to embarrass him. And that, to me, is just disgusting and outrageous. And I don't think the American people fell for it. I think the American people are not paying attention to Michael Cohen, the liar, the man heading to prison. I think they're paying attention to what our president's doing to make our world safer.
Good. Well, I hope they are. There's a lot of veterans and military in our audience, and every one of them knows the threat that Korea has presented since any of us have been alive. And it is amazing what the president's doing. Any thoughts on that? How much safer we are at the moment than we were 2 years ago, 3 years ago? When I guess folks have forgotten about Korea's threats.
Sure. Well, I mean, it's been 457 days since North Korea fired a missile. I mean, just a few years ago, it seemed like every week they were firing a missile. They fired a missile over the territory of Japan. I mean, we were literally on the brink of a war, and no one understands the cost of that more than the folks in our community, because we have the heroes that serve over the epicenter of the universe at Fort Bragg, and they're the tip of the spear. And it's not lost on me that if we have a war in the Korean Peninsula, those first boots on the ground are going to be airborne boots coming right out of Fort Bragg, and the amount of loss of life. If you look at the Korean War and the loss of life in that conflict, it was horrific. And if a war in the Korean Peninsula today would equally be as horrific, and we would lose a lot of our neighbors. And so, as far as I'm concerned, we need to do everything we can to avoid that. And that's why it's just incredible what the president has done. He was criticized for his tough talk, but his tough talk brought this dictator to the table. And, I mean, it's just stunning to watch the images of President Trump with the leader of North Korea. I mean, whoever thought we'd get to this point? I just think the president's just shown incredible instincts and incredible diplomatic skill to get us to this point. I think he was smart to walk away, though. I mean, I think, a bad deal is not worth signing. But look, the negotiations continue. The relations have thawed. We've stepped back from the brink of war. I think that's a tremendous thing. It ought to be applauded. Of course, the national liberal media won't give him credit. Leading up to the summit, they said, "Oh, Trump's going to give away the store," and I'm sure today they're going to criticize him and say, "Oh, he didn't sign a deal." Well, you know what? We're safer than we were 2 years ago, thanks to President Trump. And anything we can do to avoid having to send American men and women over there into an armed conflict, I think ought to be applauded.
Amen. Couldn't agree.
Just want to remind everybody we're talking with Congressman Richard Hudson, who is our congressman to the U.S. Congress from the 8th District. Do you see, Congressman, anybody, let's say your body, being the House, getting anything done with the way things are now that the people gave the Democrats control again?
Well, it's going to be tough, Steve, but, there are a lot of things that we need to get done. The American people are counting on us. I mean, I come home regularly, spend time in the community, and what I hear is healthcare costs are still too high. We need to do something to address that.
Can you do something about robocalls?
Their students. These are all real issues that the American people expect us to work on. And so I'm on the committee that deals with healthcare, for example, and every day we're having negotiations and discussions with Democrats. There's a piece of legislation I'm working on now with a liberal African American Democrat from Indiana, and we might be able to come together on something that will actually help reduce healthcare costs for folks who've got rare disease. So there are some things we can get done, and I'm going to continue to do what I've done the whole time I've been in Congress, which is identify problems that matter back home, try to find Democrats that work with me to find solutions, and let's get things done.
Is there any way that the two sides can come together to do something? I mean this in a serious way. To do something about robocalls, because they're just driving people crazy. You can't even use your own phone because of all of the calls.
Well, that's a good question, Steve. I don't know the answer, but it's something I'll take a look at. We are dealing with issues like privacy, whether it's over the internet or other. But I don't really know if anyone's looking specifically at this issue. I'm a politician, not afraid to say I don't know, but I'll certainly look into it.
Congressman, it seems to me that the Democrats have lots of answers, and I could fix everything too if I didn't have to worry about a budget. And it seems like there's no concept of you have to pay for these things. Do you get that impression?
I do, but I also wouldn't characterize their solutions as actually solving anything. I mean, their solutions, they've got a education system from the 60s. They've got a healthcare system from the 50s. They got an environmental policy from the 70s. Their solution to everything is more government. I think a better solution is let's let markets work. Let's let people have control of their lives and make decisions based on what's best for their families. I think the liberals just don't have solutions that are going to make people's lives better. I think we as conservatives do, and I'll continue to fight for those things. And it's when it comes to Congress and the work I do, everything's got to have some level of compromise to get things done. So you can't get 100% of what you want. But I think it's important that we continue to articulate that we want to solve problems for the American people. We have solutions that will make their lives better, and continue to try to find willing partners on the other side of the aisle that'll help you solve those problems.
Well, I love hearing you say that. The free market built this great nation. I notice on your Facebook page that whenever you post something, and I don't care what it is, you could post on there that you just rescued a puppy and kept it alive after horrendous conditions, and you would have immediately people attacking you for the way you did it. Here's my point. It just seems like there's a certain group of people that you're not going to be able to win, no matter what you say, so we can almost kind of write them off. Kind of what got a famous politician in trouble for saying that. But there's another group out there that just don't have the facts, and I think those are the ones that we've got to reach. What do you think?
I think you're right. And, if I went on Facebook and read the comments and took them personally every day, I probably wouldn't get out of bed. I'd probably stay in the fetal position under the covers every day. But I know that there's a small number of folks on Facebook who have very strong opinions. And you know what? That's part of what makes this country great. And, I'm always open to a better argument. But at the same time, I know there's thousands of people out there praying for me. And I know that there's a lot of people that agree with the positions I'm taking, and I have a belief system that I'm going to continue to stand for. And if the voters of this district don't like it, they can vote me out and put somebody else in. But I'm not going to change who I am. And so I enjoy social media because of the interaction, and it's, every once in a while you get a really good idea through social media, and I love having feedback with folks. But there are folks who are just going to be negative about everything, and I just have to let that run off my back.
Well, this is a very conservative community, as you know, and it's a very conservative audience that Steve has. And I think that's the reason you're so popular in our district, is because you do stand up for conservative values. I'd like to talk a minute about what you brought up about President Trump walking away from the table and the fact that he's been criticized for doing that during the talks with Korea. But if you've read his books, you know the man is a negotiator, and he talks often about you walk away. And he seems to have done pretty good so far, hasn't he?
Well, he sure has. I mean, he's defied my expectations. I mean, I never dreamed would be at the table with North Korea. And again, I've been in the Oval Office with the president. He's shown me the letters that Chairman Kim has sent him, and it's just stunning what the President Trump has been able to accomplish by being tough. But also being willing to reach out and talk. And, he's not afraid to talk to anybody. I think the fact that it's been 457 days since North Korea fired a missile is a huge victory.
Yep.
And I think the president was right to walk away and say, he didn't walk away angry and say, it's over. He walked away saying, we're going to continue to talk. And I think that's the right thing to do. I think it worked for Reagan when he walked away in Reykjavik. And I think it shows strength. I think, another thing I just read this morning before I got on the air with you, Gallup has been polling since 2003 public opinion about how Americans feel about our standing in the world. The poll today is the highest it's ever been. I think it's something like 58% think that our standing in the world is the best it's ever been. And I think you attribute that to President Trump and the fact that he knows that you don't negotiate from weakness, you negotiate from strength, that you clearly articulate what we stand for and what we're willing to do and not do, and then you reach out that hand and have that conversation. I think he's been incredibly successful, and and I know the American people are praying that he's successful, and I know certainly right here in the neighborhood with the heroes of Fort Bragg, we're praying that he's successful.
Well, President Trump has brought back the pride in America, that it's okay to say, again, I'm proud. I'm very proud to be a member of the greatest nation on earth. When you compare his abilities to negotiate with John Kerry's in Iran, where he came back and gave billions of dollars in cash to the Iranians, and they still have everything they wanted, it's quite a difference, isn't it?
It absolutely is. And again, you don't appease dictators. You don't bow down to kings. You stand firm in your convictions, and you reach out a hand with respect, and that's what Ronald Reagan did. That's what Donald Trump has done, and it's been very successful.
I know you've got to go soon, but can you tell us about a couple of things that you're working on or that you would like us to know, please?
Well, my focus again this week has been on trying to stand up against what the Democrats are doing on gun control and articulate that the American people expect us to keep them safe, to deal with the root causes of gun violence, but not to do it in a way that doesn't infringe the ability of criminals to get guns, that infringes the rights of law-abiding citizens. So I'm going to continue to be a loud voice for our rights and remind people that the Second Amendment is the most important, because our right to keep and bear arms gives us the ability to guarantee all our other rights. And so that's my focus this week. I'm going to continue to try and find solutions to bring down drug costs. I'm going to continue to try and improve the care for our veterans. We've still got this awful crisis of veteran suicide. We've still got a lot of work to do to improve the VA healthcare system. These are all things that I'm going to continue to focus on and continue to work on.
Well, I'm very glad to hear you say that. Even when we hear what seems to be on the top of it, reasonable gun control legislation by the Democrats, it's never enough. It's never enough. So I'm so happy to hear that you're cutting it off right at the knees before we get the next one, and then the next one, and then because the ultimate goal is just to take the guns, and I actually do believe that.
No, it's absolutely true. And there are liberals like Jerry Nadler and a whole host of them on the other side who hate guns. They don't want people to have guns. Just hearing the debate yesterday and hearing them talk about gun shows, they keep talking about this gun show loophole. You got these gun shows where people are selling guns out of trunks, and I was sitting next to another congressman. I said, I should just stand up and invite him to a gun show. I bet he's never been to one. I mean, gun shows are some of the safest places you could be, and everyone there selling is a reputable dealer. They all have their the ability to do the background checks right there. You've got law enforcement in uniform. You've got undercover law enforcement. You got ATF patrolling the parking lots. I mean, these are not the Wild West. These are actually gatherings of patriots and people who love guns like you and I do. And it's just, but the liberals just don't get it. And so that's why it's so important that we've got to be strong and we've got to continue to articulate the truth and fight them every step of the way.
Well, once they latch onto a saying like the gun show loophole, they never let go. And never mind, it's not true. It's just that's
right.
It. Real quick, talking about CPAC, it's probably old hand to you, but I would be pretty excited to be there. There's lots of rock stars. Are you looking forward to making new acquaintances and seeing old friends out there that you perhaps are with a guy like me?
No, I am excited. It's one of the largest gatherings of conservative activists and patriots and young people that happens in the country, put on by the American Conservative Union. And, they've got a bunch of great stars coming to speak. And apparently somebody must have canceled, so they invited me to come. But I'm excited to be there. And, it's anytime you can get together with like-minded patriots and talk about why this country is great, talk about the values we share, it's exciting to me. So I was thrilled to be invited to speak and really looking forward to it.
Well, you said that in your usual humble way, but I always enjoy when I hear you speak. You've got a very unassuming way of just stating the facts, and I've always felt that if an elected politician would do what you're doing, and that is just take care of what you're supposed to do, they wouldn't have to worry so much about being reelected.
If you were a liberal congressman, you'd already be offered a TV show.
Well, leader man, they say I've got a face for radio.
Yeah.
I've got to do a radio show.
We'll bring that up.
I got you beat on that issue.
Okay, well.
All right. Well, I appreciate the opportunity to be with you guys.
And we appreciate it, Congressman. Anytime you need a microphone, just let me know.
Well, I appreciate it. And I just appreciate the job you do, leader man. I mean, you're just a voice of common sense and reason every day. And I appreciate you and John giving me an opportunity to come in and talk to the folks.
All right. Thanks a lot for coming on.
All right. Take care. God bless you.
Bye-bye. All right. It is 8:53. Your comments on all that?
Well, it should be no secret that I like Congressman Hudson. I was a little bit iffy when he first was elected, but after talking to him so much, I'm a fan. I was very happy to hear his remarks on Senator Tillis. He didn't say anything bad about him.
Well, those that are not in the know, tell us what Senator Tillis did.
Well, he wrote an op-ed in which he said that he would not be voting with the president. Rather, he would be voting to make the emergency, losing my train of thought here, but the emergency resolution that President Trump has declared to build the wall, Tillis would be working against that. And I say working against it, he would not vote for it. And he did write an op-ed against it. So that's one of the most disappointing things that I've heard lately come out of a senator's mouth that represents us.
I'm surprised since he's running this next round in 2020 for re-election.
Well, I really do hope that folks will remember that and then hold him to it. Another thing I think we should mention here that I don't think we've talked about yet is the ruling of the North Carolina judge that ruled that the voter ID, and there was one more, the voter ID amendment that folks in North Carolina voted for, the amendment that said you must have ID to vote, has been stricken down. And the logic behind that was this, that he said that since we were operating under what he called gerrymandering districts, that the vote was invalid and that the present legislative body in North Carolina has no standing, which is probably the most ridiculous thing you're ever going to hear. If you went to school, you learned that there are 3 branches of government. The judge just struck down one of those bodies, and that's the legislative branch. I don't know what he was thinking, and I think everyone, even us non-lawyer types who have no knowledge of how these things work, believes that this will be overturned by the Supreme Court. But just the fact that he can do this.
Well, you just get tired of, you vote, you think it's done legit, and you got one person comes along and usurps your vote.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
And to think that there's a group out there, the NAACP, who actually have the nerve to say that there's a whole community of folks out there based on race who are not smart enough to get a voter ID. How dare they make such an accusation, and it's on their own folks?
Well, one of the biggest problems, John, is the fact that an illegal can come to our community, go down to DMV, get a driver's license because they're allowed to drive in North Carolina, and at the same, they don't hardly speak any English, if any at all, and they somehow get through the eye test, and they have a Spanish version of the test, so they can get that in Spanish, and the operator will help them with the eye test to make sure they get through that, and then they ask, do you want to register to vote? Now if you want to get a duplicate driver's license, man, you got to bring them 3 forms of ID. But you go get a new one, you don't have to bring all that crap. And then they ask you, would you like to register to vote? And the guy will go, oh, see, yes. No verification if they're a U.S. citizen at all. Just a question.
Yep, I was not aware of that, and that is extremely, extremely disturbing to hear that.
And this is how you get the illegals registered to vote. And now you don't even have to have a voter ID.
Well, America,
thanks to one man.
You know, I grew up in the 60s, and I thought America was relatively divided in those days. And I was very happy we were getting back together again. But it's gotten so bad now that it's really disturbing. And hearing your story today on the 19-year-old who assaulted an 81-year-old man for wearing a MAGA hat, that's just unbelievable.
Yeah, it's getting a little ridiculous. And then when I was talking to the congressman about those robocalls, we talked about it earlier this week, that this year alone, 50 to 70% of your calls will be robocalls that you get on your cell phone. And it's got to get stopped. The biggest problem is a lot of them originate overseas, and then you have to have cooperation with those governments. We've got to start somewhere. There is technology that will stop a lot of it. that if the phone companies will implement it, they can kill it all, knowing it's not a legit call. All right, so thanks, John, for coming in this morning and helping out with Congressman Hudson. And for the rest of you, so it goes for this Thursday. Have yourself a great, safe day. We'll see you back bright and early tomorrow, 7 to 9, for a TSIF. Thanks, Steve. It's Friday. Until then, be sure to support all the mom and pop businesses you hear on our airways, because they are the backbone of our economy here in Moore County. Your money will stay here, roll over, and create jobs. And don't forget, millions of Americans, they have fought and they have died to give and protect the freedoms that you get to enjoy today. So live today worthy of their and their family's sacrifice. I'm Steve Leader Adams, and the Leader Man and Nick and Colt the dog. We'll all see you this afternoon, rain or shine, at the dog park